Coach Lynch is he has a presence to him, right? As soon as he walks in the gym, like, you know who just walked into the gym.
He's a player's coach, first. He believes in the system.
Different ways that I just knew that he trusted me. So he would text me after every game. And I remember there's some games I had, he'd just be like, man, Casey, like, you're the glue of this thing.
So he kicked me out of practice simply because he did not remember the play and I did.
Michael's in middle school at Price, and I'm working him out. He's playing on his AAU team, and we're really successful, and I see he's getting better and better, and now it's time to choose high school. So anyway, Becky and I are talking about him just transitioning right from, he's in middle school there and getting a good education. It's a sound Christian environment. Let's go to high school here. And I told her, I said, I don't think you can do that. I said, because, he's a basketball player and they really don't have a good basketball program. And so my wife challenged me, as she often does. She said, well, if you're so good of a coach, why don't you help them out so they can become a better basketball program? It took me 2 days to digest that challenge, and after that I said, you know what, I will get involved. And lo and behold, an opening came up for the head basketball coach. We had gym time for our AAU team. So I decided to grab the guys that had played there before, and we'd go over to John Muir Middle School on Tuesday and Thursday, and I started working them out. And I didn't really realize that I was using my faith in doing this until I got into it. And by this time, I'm claiming this job. So much so that not only was I working the guys out, I took my vacation time from LAPD and I centered it around the basketball season. They interviewed 3 of us. Started off with 6 candidates, and they broke it down to 3. And out of the 3, I was the least qualified. I'll never forget, I think I had about a paragraph for my resume, which read, coaching AAU basketball and coaching some policemen. The day comes for my interview, so I'm walking across the campus there. I ran into a couple of assistant pastors who I had great relationships with. And I remember them asking me, where are you going? Kind of like, what are you doing over this way? So I told them I'm here for an interview for the basketball position at the school, at the high school. And so they said, why don't you let us go in and talk to the committee, and then you can come in. And I told them both, I love you both, I appreciate you all, but please don't do that. I said, because you know what? You're going to get in the way of God. They said, oh, okay. All right, well, we'll be in agreement that you get it. So I go in, take the interview, and never forget this, brand new principal. And so they're asking me general questions. So at the end, they said, well, why do you think you're qualified for this position? So I shared with them that I was coaching the guys over the summer and up until school time. And also told them about me taking vacation time for the basketball season. And the principal stood up and she said, that's my coach. My first team, we had eight guys that were willing to work their tails off and get better and just compete. We used to bring in 2 parking cones to simulate 5-on-5.
Playing for my dad, travel ball for so many years, and coming in kind of with more experience playing ball than a lot of my high school teammates, he would kind of expect me to already know things.
First year, we missed playoffs. We're 11-10, and I remember going down to the CIF office because I thought, I'm so naive. Well, we had a winning season, 11-10. We should be in the playoffs. But I get down there and I'm asking, well, I don't see our names up here. And they said, well, you guys didn't make the playoffs. They had a 12-win rule that I had no idea about. And we missed it by 1 game. So I left there, and I'll never forget this moment. I just knew that I was that coach and that we should have been in the playoffs, and I'm that good. And I remembered how I got the job. It was God. So I went before the Lord, and I said, I'm going to get in the back seat, Father God, and you get in the front seat, and you drive this program. I said, all I ask is that you send the right student athletes to this program from the north, south, east, and west. And God is faithful. It happened. This campus was Pepperdine University before Crenshaw Christian Center bought it. We had an old gym. I nicknamed it the old barn because it had wooden bleachers, but I loved that gym. There'd be 20, 30 people at the games, and it sounded like it was 300, 400 people.
During my freshman year, I was on the bench, and my father called a player to go in the game, and I always did this little slide over to kind of sit closer to him so he could see me. It was as if it was my turn to go in. But this particular game, I'm sliding on the bench, and it's a wooden, old barn, so the benches were wooden and everything was wooden. While I'm sliding over, I catch a splinter in my thigh, trying to get over and get coach to get me in. So the irony of that is I couldn't play because we spent the rest of the game trying to get the splinter out of my thigh. We knew we were a small school, but our coaching staff, Coach Lynch and the other coaches, never made us feel like we were less than. Any gymnasium, any tournament, any playoff game that we entered, we felt like we belonged. My father was not an X and O type of a coach, so we had one set play that he'd been having since I was my first starting years of AAU ball. So this one particular practice, we're prepping for the season. He's going over his play, which we call spread. He's going over the play, but he's putting players in wrong positions. He's telling them the rotation. It's not. He's actually mixing the play up with another play that we had. So while he's kind of trying to figure it out, me being the captain and the leader of the team, I decided to take one for the team and make sure I correct Coach Lynch about the play. Now, this was not the first time that I've corrected Coach during practice in front of the whole team, and this particular time he didn't take it very well. So he kicked me out of practice simply because he did not remember the play and I did. So he makes me go outside, and I literally have to stand outside, and in classic Coach Lynch fashion, instead of him coming to get me, he sends a teammate of mine, and he brings me in, and then he asks me if I had any further objections to anything that was going on in practice. Me being a quick learner, I decided that it was best for me to just respond with no coach and continue on with practice. But what makes this story even funnier is that as the days and some practices went on, he would never ask for if he was wrong or ask for anything in front of anybody, but on that drive home, he would go, hey Mike, did I run over the play right? Is that exactly how I'm supposed to go, or is that defense as I would go? So he would punish me in public, but ask for my advice in private. I love the time that I had with my father as my coach and as a player, but it was definitely some moments that we bumped heads throughout all those years.
we have this joke. I say to him, when season starts, I'll say, okay, at first it used to be whatever the end of the season was. It used to be like maybe February. I'd say, okay, see you in February. But then he started winning. And then that season got longer. And, sometime we ended up saying, okay, I'll see you in March.
Left on the clock on the wall.
Me and the refs, I tell my dad all the time, since he was the coach, there was only so much he could say. So my job was to say everything he couldn't say to the refs, because they weren't going to kick me out the game, but they were going to kick him out. So that was just my thing. If I can get in that ref's head, bring a little attention, give him, not enough though that he hated my dad, just enough to make sure he called an extra foul. So that was my job. I repeated everything my dad said, and I added a little bit more twist to it so that hey, if you can't hear him, you're going to hear me. And so I think to this day, the refs know me and come up and laugh about it because I'm on them. I'll call the call before they can call it. I'll tell them, I'm just making sure you're going to call it. If not, I was going to make the call. So it's funny. There's a lot of refs that we see, they love us. They knew it was all in love. I knew the game, so they really couldn't say anything about it because what I was saying was probably right. So, but yeah, everything my dad could not say on the bench, I said in the stands.
I'm trying to remember like how becoming his scorekeeper was even an option. I want to say that at one point somebody couldn't do his book. Whoever was doing his book regularly couldn't do it, and he asked me to do it, and I was just like a natural at it, and I didn't know that was going to become a permanent lifetime until he decided to stop coaching thing. But started going to I was already at every game, but started being able to ride with the team and be at all the tournaments. I got to be right by my daddy's side while he was doing exactly what he loved doing, and that was kind of my contribution of making his passion a little easier, his job a little easier, but just being able to contribute something to the game. So that was a good time for me. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna miss it.
So after they won the first CIF championship, he didn't know that there was even such a thing as his state playoffs. So they won, and then they told him, okay, after the game, they said, okay, so your next game. And he was like, wait, what?
The previous season, we won our division, and we were unaware of state playoffs. So we got a call and then rushed, put the team back together to jump into state playoffs. Won our first game, lost the second one. And from that point on, the goal was state championship.
Playing the game, the Knights of Price High School, coached by Michael Lynch.
First state championship, that was my son's team, Mike. Great group of guys. We ventured into some unknown territory, and those guys were very resilient.
The team we played was very tough. They came out and we got smacked in the mouth a little bit. I would say not that we came a little bit overconfident, but I think our confidence was really high on that route, and then kind of running into a wall early on kind of surprised us.
An 11-point lead in the end of the first half. The halftime score, it's Hoopa Valley 39 and Price 28.
One of the first things that Coach told us was that he talked to us about halftime being a start over. Technically the score was 0-0, and if we come out a certain way, it would be a whole different game than it was in the first half.
Gets it in the key, back outside.
And the strategy was,
this will be a long
I know you guys are playing hard, but play harder. I don't have a 15-point play to give you guys, but you guys got some more in the tank.
Or those comments that he made to the seniors about stepping up was something that we took very strongly and took responsibility for. And I think that being leaders of the team, once we set that mindset and once we showed that we were taking that responsibility, I think all of our underclassmen felt the exact same way.
Howard gets it back. And a chance to tie the game at 55. It's a brand new game.
And in a way, I think a lot of our underclassmen did that for us as seniors. They wanted to see us go out that way. They knew what we had worked so hard for over the last few years, and they wanted to be a part of it for us just as much as it was for Coach and for the school.
Andre Jones.
I really believe that faith started for all of us with that team. Not that we weren't believing before then, but to really get to state championship game and not know what it was going to be like, the surroundings, and then getting behind and at halftime speaking that faith message again, and the guys agreeing. I think they set the table for everything that happened after that.
You know, the whole purpose of that season was always based on our faith and based on God, or just thanking God. So the first thing, I know one of the first things that we had to do was just thank God. And my father would consistently just talk about us having faith and what we could do with faith. He brought spiritual leaders would come into practices. It was nothing planned. It wasn't nothing like we talked about if we won, we were gonna make sure that we prayed. I just think collectively that we all knew that we just had to give thanks at that moment.
The 2001 team. Now, we had some returners, so they knew what it would take to get back to the state championship game. And the ones that were new to the team were being carried by the veterans. Jermaine Jamersons, Andrew Howard, Sam McDonald, Skylar McKay, Oscar Edwards, Chris Alexander. Those guys had been there. So the expectation from the day we started workouts, the goal was to get back to the state championship game.
That's it. It's over.
They loved that feeling and they wanted it again, and so did I. In 2002, this was state championship number 3.
Price in blue with white trim, controlled by the Knights from South Central Los Angeles.
The faith train was running. I mean, from the very beginning of school, the talk was, let's get back to state.
Leans toward the...
You know, it's an old saying about each one teach one. And again, we'd always have a newcomer to the team or a few guys. And the veterans just, it was the expectation. And this is how hard you got to work to get there.
Two-hand stuff.
Returners, Khalif Washington, Sam McDonald, Darren Morrison, Skylar McKay.
Price coming up, Skylar.
And Derek Williams. Oh my goodness. Frank Peace was a newcomer that just, oh my goodness, he was just amazing for us. David Pendleton, the whole team, Coach. We played, we had 11 guys on that team as I'm looking back, and all 11 played. Every game.
And there it is.
Oh, goodness, just amazing group of young guys.
And this is their third straight championship in the state of California.
2003. We were blessed to get to the state championship game for the fourth consecutive time and actually win it. And that faith train, it seemed like it was state championship or nothing. I didn't look at it that way because we knew season would be long. You'd have to qualify to get to state, but the guys, they just believed. And it was an expectation. It was like, we're going to state. And not in a braggadocious type way, but in a faith way. That's just what we were destined to do. And again, we had some newcomers and we had some returners that carried those newcomers. Some names there: Billy Grayson, incredible shooter. Matter of fact, he got to the state championship game and went 7 for 7 from the field. And if I'm not mistaken, something like 5 for 5 from the free throw line. He had a perfect shooting game. But on that team, you had veterans. Oscar Edwards was a senior. This was his 4th trip to the state championship game. Skylar McKay. Marcus Palmer, who I gave the nickname of Double-Double because he would always go get me 10 points or more and 10 boards or more. And Derek Williams back. A newcomer, big guy, Teron Sutton. And Darren Morrison back again. So just a veteran group. And again, they carried the young guys. And we win, and thank God we handled our business. We played Modesto Christian that had a 7-footer, and Oscar, so athletic, 6'5", 6'6", just bouncy. And he out-jumped him at the start of the game and on the jump ball, and we never looked back. Oscar is one of 2 players in the 2 high school guys in the history of Southern California basketball to win 4 consecutive state championships. So his memory is he didn't know anything but state championships. You know, we were runner-up in the 2004 state championship game. Really close ball game. We just didn't put it together at the end, but bounced back in 2005 with and ended up winning the state championship again. And with a team of, this was one of those teams where we had talent, but it was the unknown. We had to really fight and claw our way to get to the state championship game and then to win it with this group. I had a couple of inexperienced guys on there that had to play minutes for us, and maybe not as talented overall of a team as we had in the previous years, but they did it. We had a young man that came to the school, Frank Henriala. He came and joined this group. He was actually there the previous year, but as a senior, he just got so much better. He was just a force for us, and obviously Tyrese Brashears, big-time ball player. So we had some veteran returners, but we had some newcomers that had not experienced this before. So, but they pulled it off. Praise God, they pulled it off. Uh, 2010, there was a gap of a few years that we didn't make it to state, but we get back there in 2010, and this group was super talented.
our senior year, like I said, I feel personally, one of, if not the best Price team here. We had 8 Division I basketball players, not, senior-wise, but, that freshman group all the way up into my class. We had 8 guys that went Division I basketball, so I was like, that's kind of big.
Every year, we were always so close. So I remember my freshman year, we got to the CIF game, we lost by, I don't know, like very little amount. Then we went on, and the game before state, because state was always the goal. Like, yes, CIF was great, but state was always the goal. And the game before state, we had lost by like 3 points. And then come back my sophomore year, the game before state, we had lost like by 1 or 2 points. So it was always 3 points or less. So me and Alan were like, man, like we got to do something different. Junior year, we ended up winning CIF. Still, the game before state, we had lost to Bishop Montgomery on that last second shot. 3 points or less. So coming into our senior year, it was like, man, like we have to do this. Like there's no other option. So I just remember that year, I think we had a team meeting. I don't even know if you guys know this, and I just knew like this was our last chance. So everybody has to be on this same page. Like Coach used to say, one accord. We have to be on one accord all the time. And I was like, man, this isn't going to happen. Like, we're not going to break down as a team, like, on my watch right now. So I kind of just stood up, and I was like, hey, this is everybody roles. Alan's our #1 option. He's going to shoot the ball the most. Richard, we're coming to you second. Ski, we're coming to you third. And then it's going to be me, and I'm going to facilitate for everybody. So if you don't like it, you can say something now, but this is the way it's going to go. And everybody just kind of followed suit at that point. And from that conversation, we all just became so close. Like, at that point, we were all like brothers. Every weekend we were at somebody's house. It would be 10 to 12 of us at one person's house, just hanging out, just chilling with each other, because we loved being with each other and we loved playing with each other so much. And I think that is an underrated like value that kids don't understand. The chemistry of the team is so important, and it wasn't like Coach was telling us to do these things. We just all kind of did it on our own. We just loved being around each other. So when we were winning CIF and we were winning state, it just gave like a euphoric feeling, because we genuinely enjoyed it.
Price on a run, Booker a lob, Solomon!
These guys just put it together, but they put it together the whole year. A matter of fact, we were a top 10 CIF team.
We were beating everybody. We were beating all Division I schools, Division II schools, it didn't matter. And I just think that we really gelled.
And it's always cool to see Coach Lynch, because we held him to such high excellence and standard, and when he would joke with us and laugh with us, it was a different feel. So it just made everything just all the better.
1, Price is your Division IV state champion.
I'd never step out and say which team was better, but I'd have to put this team up there near the top, if not at the top. I've had some awesome assistant coaches over the 26 years, and all of them, every one of those coaches had a volunteer spirit about them. It was never about finances, because for years we didn't even have a budget to even pay the assistants. So they were doing it out of their heart and love for young people. And there's no way that the success we had happens without great assistance. And I've had some of the best. The thing I admire about my assistant coaches is nobody came in believing they were an expert. They just believed in working hard and supporting the young men and pumping faith to them, just as I would. And so awesome assistant coaches. Mr. Terry. Just such a fine man. Mr. Terry approached me one day during church service, And his exact words were, Coach, I don't know much about basketball. The X's and O's, that's not who I am. But if you need me, I'll come and assist you, and I'll do whatever you ask me to do. And I told Mr. Terry, I said, you're an answer to prayer. I was working by myself. I was sweeping the floors, cleaning the backboards, and washing uniforms, and one-man show. And Mr. Terry came and took all of those responsibilities off my plate and allowed me just to focus on coaching. And he had a heart for young people. His grandson was on one of the team members, but it wasn't about his grandson. It was about every young man that put that Price uniform on. He loved them. He mentored them. He was like a grandfather to them. And he just blessed our program tremendously.
On the next Bigger Than Basketball.
I would make the joke that CIF should call the open division the Mike Lynch division.
Leaving Price to coach over at LaSalle, it wasn't a very difficult decision because it was something that was more or less put on me.
The coach comes to me and says, just stick it out. I will find a coach for you. I know it's gonna be tough. Just stick it out. And I trusted him.
Mike is literally, he's one of very few people that I know that are operating in their purpose and was blessed to be able to walk that with his passion.